Welcome to POSH Judgements, your window into the latest court rulings shaping workplace dignity and safety across India. Stay updated as we bring you real cases, real decisions, and lessons that matter, because awareness is the first step to prevention.
Welcome to POSH Judgements on Metis POSH Radio, India's first radio station dedicated to POSH awareness. Today, we revisit one of the most important turning points in India's legal and social history, a case that did not just interpret the law, but created it, Vishakha versus State of Rajasthan, the judgment that laid the foundation for the POSH Act. The case was heard by the Supreme Court of India in 1997, recorded as AIR 1997 SC 3011, before a bench of Justice J.S. Verma, Justice Sujata Manohar, and Justice B.N. Kirpal. What began as a local tragedy would soon transform into a national reckoning. The story begins with Bhanwari Devi, a social worker under Rajasthan's Women's Development Program. Her job was to prevent child marriages. One day, she attempted to stop the marriage of a 1-year-old girl belonging to an upper caste family. Though officials momentarily halted the ceremony, the marriage took place later. The villagers were furious. Bhanwari Devi and her family were boycotted. Soon after, 5 to 6 men from the village gang-raped her in front of her husband to avenge what they believed was an insult. When she reported the crime, village authorities, doctors, and even the police dismissed her. The trial court eventually acquitted all the accused. This injustice sparked outrage across India. Multiple women's groups and NGOs united under the platform Vishakha and filed a public interest litigation before the Supreme Court. They argued that sexual harassment at the workplace, whether in offices, factories, fields, or public spaces, violates the fundamental rights guaranteed by Articles 14, 15, 19(1)g, and 21 of the Constitution. They emphasized that without a safe working environment, a woman cannot meaningfully exercise her right to equality, dignity, and the freedom to pursue any occupation. The petitioners pointed out that India was a signatory to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, known as CEDAW, which required the country to ensure protection from sexual harassment. But India had no law, no definition, and no mechanism to address such cases at the workplace. The Supreme Court observed that the absence of legislation could not be a justification for inaction. It noted that gender equality is a fundamental right, and ensuring women's safety is essential to protecting that right. If Parliament had not yet enacted a law, the court had the authority and responsibility to fill the vacuum. And so, the court created what would become a defining moment in Indian legal history, the Vishakha Guidelines. The court declared that employers in both public and private sectors carry the responsibility to prevent sexual harassment. It defined sexual harassment broadly, including unwelcome physical contact or advances, demands or requests for sexual favors, sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, and any unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal sexual conduct. The court directed every workplace to explicitly prohibit sexual harassment and communicate penalties clearly. It emphasized the need for safe working conditions, proper hygiene, and ensuring that no woman faces a hostile environment. Most importantly, it ordered every employer to set up a complaint redressal mechanism. If the harassment amounted to a criminal offense, employers were required to support the survivor and report the matter to the police. These guidelines were declared binding law under Article 141 of the Constitution and were to remain in force until Parliament passed appropriate legislation. 16 years later, in 2013, the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act, commonly known as the POSH Act, was enacted, based on the foundation laid by this judgment. The Vishakha judgment was more than a legal ruling. It was a national awakening. It recognized that dignity at work is not optional. It is a constitutional right. It acknowledged that women's safety is not merely a policy matter, but a matter of justice. And it ensured that workplaces across India could no longer ignore or normalize harassment. This episode is a simplified summary of an official court judgment created for awareness. To read the complete order, visit www.metisposh.com. You've been listening to POSH Judgements, hosted by Anita, on POSH Radio, India's first radio for POSH awareness.
This was a simplified summary of an actual court judgment, created to help listeners understand the essence of the case and its relevance to workplace safety and POSH law. It is not a verbatim reproduction of the official judgment, and certain details have been adapted for clarity and ease of understanding. If you wish to read the complete judgment, along with all cited laws, sections, and case references, please visit www.metisposh.com.